Hello and welcome back to another NHIG video. Today we're going to be looking at cleft welds. Cleft welds involve welding two bars together via a split. For the purpose of this demonstration we're going to be using two 6-inch lengths of 20mm round bar. And we will begin by upsetting the end of the first bar. This is dressed to ensure squareness and straightness. Once the upset is in place, I will forge a short taper on the end of the bar. This is to give me the weld planes I need. The tapered upset is then rounded in a swage. This will allow the two components to interlock nicely with a nice long weld surface. Next, the second bar is also upset. There is a video on upsetting if you would like to know more about this process. The upset is continuously dressed to ensure that it remains mostly central. This upset is then also forged into a blunt taper. However, this taper will be much broader than the previous one. Cleft welds are much better at resisting lateral loads than scarf welds because the weld is supported on both sides. Once the taper is done, the bar will be split and this will create the cleft. The split is started off carefully so as to ensure that it remains central. And the depth of the split must be slightly longer than the length of the taper on the first bar. At this stage you can see that these will not quite fit together, so we will take a fuller and create a rounded section on the inside of the cleft for the first bar to fit into. And here we have almost completed the cleft. The next stage will be to go over to the anvil and ensure that we have a nice scarf on the end of each jaw. This I do with the crosspeen because it allows me to get into a short space. I will fit a hardy tool in the hardy. This is because as I am attempting to weld the cleft weld, both components will be trying to move away from each other. And basically the cleft is attempting to spit out the first bar. To ensure the best fit, I find which directions both of the components like to be in and mark that up with chalk. And I will begin by heating the components from the back to ensure that heat is not sucked out of the weld area. I will then bring the components together and tack them by hitting on the back of the first bar. As you can see, that is taken. I will just close up the cleft and then return to create another welding heat. And at this stage I can actually weld up the cleft itself, ensuring I am working both sides. And it is important not to forge beyond the welding heat. Otherwise, if you have any cold shuts in there, they will simply propagate and create a crack through the weld. Once the components are welded, I have a lot of mass to work out. In some instances you may choose to leave this. In this instance I will work it down, back down to 20mm. And here is the completed weld. As you can see, this has blended in very nicely. We have a little pockmark here. However, that is not structural, and the rest has blended in quite nicely. The advantage of cleft welds is the sheer mass of material you have for the welding process. You have slightly more room for error, though the process does take a bit longer. Thank you for watching.